So Wednesday was an extraordinary day in the history of Hong Kong. 53 pro-democracy activists and opposition leaders were arrested under China's controversial new national security law. An unprecedented crackdown as Beijing tried to throttle Hong Kong's remaining freedoms. Now, we've been tracking the story very closely on WION, and the latest update is that Joshua Wong, a pro-democracy activist who was already in prison, has been arrested for subversion along with 50 other activists. Now, Wong is currently serving 13 months of prison term for his role in having organized the pro-democracy protests. So let's take a look as to what unfolded during the raid, where the day unfolded and began pretty early. In the early hours of Wednesday, the operation involved over 1,000 different police officers and dozens of arrests were made. So the question that begs is, why were they arrested? Now, most of the detainees have been charged with subversion. Now, subversion, interestingly, in Chinese law has been defined as undermining the power of an established authority, which here in this case is Beijing. The 53 pro-democracy leaders were arrested for their involvement in unofficial Democratic Party's primary elections. The vote took place in late July after the Chinese Communist Party passed the national security law. And under this new law, anything that China defines as secession, subversion, terrorism or collusion with international forces is punishable with up to a life term in prison. The mass arrest has sent the clearest signal so far that Beijing is pretty determined to stamp out any sign of political opposition in Hong Kong. This after nearly a year of pro-democracy protests. The situation is extremely alarming, but let's go back into history a bit to get a clear picture of what really has led to this. Way back in the year 1997, Britain handed over the territory of Hong Kong to China. But there was one clause under the agreement that Hong Kong will be governed by one country, two systems rule. Now, what does this exactly mean? Well, the one country part means that Hong Kong will officially be a part of the Chinese sovereign territory, while the two systems will give the people of Hong Kong a great amount of autonomy in terms of how they govern themselves, including rights such as the freedom of press that is absent in mainland China. That China is supposed to abide by this agreement until at least 2047, but for several years now, Beijing has been chipping away at these freedoms and has been trying to bring Hong Kong more tightly under its grip. The national security law stands in clear violation of the one country, two systems clause. And Wednesday's mass operation has marked China's most brazen attempt yet to silence Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement, and that too with an iron fist. Dozens of opposition figures were put behind bars. Even an American citizen, John Clancy, who is said to be a solicitor with the law firm Jose Y and Partners, was arrested on suspicion of subversion. Now, Clancy works in a legal firm which is known for taking on human rights cases. And Samuel Chu, the director of the US-based Hong Kong Democracy Council, has also condemned the incident. Taking to Twitter, he's tweeted, and I quote him here, "The purge in Hong Kong continues, the largest single day of arrest so far since the implementation of the national security law. The CCP and Hong Kong authorities have sought to root out the whole of the pro-democracy political establishment and movement." The arrests have been condemned by many global leaders and human rights groups, urging Beijing to release the activists and also stop the crackdown on free speech under the ambit of its national security law. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.